G'day guys, it's Simon and Crystal here from Pumped on Property, and in today's video we're going to break down your questions answered. However, this month it's going to be a little bit different because we got asked one really important question and we want to expand on that a little bit and go into some different ideas. And the question was, what would you buy if you were buying in 2024? So the way that we're going to break this down is we're going to go through three different options in the market because most people come to us with one of three budgets. That's either below $500,000, below $700,000, or below $900,000. And even though they're only 200,000 increments, the strategies that you can implement are starkly different. First things first, we'll start in the middle because that's where most people are at the moment. Most people are coming with about a $600,000 to $700,000 budget at the moment. So, Crystal, let's say your budget was $700K, maybe $650 to $700K. Where would you be focusing your time and attention at the moment?
Yeah, so a big part of my strategy is always buying sort of the worst house in the best location that I can afford with that budget. So for like that $650 to $700K budget right now in Brisbane, obviously we specialize in Brisbane, that Southeast Queensland market, there's a couple of different areas that you could put that money. If it were me, I love the idea of the Moreton Bay Regional Council area. That's north of Brisbane from about 15Ks to about 45Ks out of the city. And it spans the Hills District to the northwest of the city, all the way to the northeastern beaches or bayside of Brisbane. So about 700K, there's only a handful of suburbs in that market that you can buy. You can get like a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom renovator, typically like a high-set home, somewhere in around like the Petrie University, maybe Kalanga, or over on the Bayside, you could just scratch into maybe like the Deception Bay market. I love the look of those properties because in most of the instances, the land sizes are quite big. You're either close to the water or close to that university, both of which are big draw cards for maybe that potential for capital growth. And in that market, it's definitely an entry-level property type, which for me, loving the idea of a renovator really aligns with sort of what I like doing as an investor. And another area that we focus on a lot as a business for that sort of $650 to $700K budget is South Brisbane. So in South Brisbane, it's still relatively entry-level property buying, given the Brisbane median house price is pushing over $800K now. $650 is still a very affordable property in this market. So it is usually a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, maybe 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, depending on the suburb. But there's some areas down there like Boronia Heights, it's about 24Ks from the city, Crestmead and Marsden that are also about 25Ks from the city, where you can get a really good, low maintenance, investor grade property, low vacancy rates, tenant ready type home. It doesn't usually need immediate renovation for that sort of price point. Gets you into the market in a 30K or less radius of the city. And I think some of those markets look super exciting right now.
So if you've got a budget below $500,000 right now, an area that I like is Townsville. Now, unfortunately, you're not really going to be able to purchase a quality house in a quality location in any capital city outside of Darwin for less than $500,000 right now. So you're sort of forced into these major regional markets now. So Townsville being the 14th largest market in all of Australia, the 3rd largest regional market in Queensland after the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast. It's got over 200,000 people that are living up there. There's over 2,000 people per year moving to Townsville at the moment for job opportunities in the mines or in the military. There is a relatively diverse economy in the sense that we do have a heavy prevalence of mining up there, which is booming right now, and that's why I really like it. But you've also got the military sector, huge expansions up into far north Queensland, specifically Townsville for the military. But then you've got the university there, James Cook, you've got the hospital, you've got the TAFE, you've got the Cowboys, the NRL team, you've got tourism being on the Great Barrier Reef and having Magnetic Island just across the way. So I really like Townsville, and, you know, 500K goes a long way up there. You know, you can buy a 6, 7, 800 plus square meter piece of land in a nice, quiet, family-friendly street, removed from any flooding issues. I really like the look of the suburbs like Annandale up there. Really, really good option there. Also, some of the smaller suburbs closer to the city, like Railway Estate, Hermit Park, or Ardalia, another really great suburb up there as well. You do have to be careful with flooding. You do have to be careful with crime up there as well, with it being a large regional market, and obviously the storms that occur up there. You've got to be really careful with your due diligence and making sure you've got a great quality team of advisors if you're thinking about buying up there. But if you're strapped for cash and that's the most that you can afford right now, definitely do some research and due diligence on the Townsville market, or feel free to book in a strategy session with us where we can educate you more about some of these different options. You can do that via our website. Hit the link in the description below and book in the free strategy session with me, Simon, or Crystal, my sister, and we'll be able to talk about where you're at right now, where you're looking to be in the future, and your next action steps. But if we look at that more higher end budget at the moment, which I really like this area of the market because it is undervalued in comparison to other locations. It's just not many people can afford, so there's not as much demand. So Chris, what about Brizzy in the $900,000 plus mark?
I really like this budget point. That sort of $850 to $900K in Brisbane gets you a massive amount of bang for your buck right now. You can get into quite a blue chip location like the Southern Bayside region of Brisbane, which is your Redland Bay Council area, or the Northern Bayside region of Brisbane, back in that Moreton Bay Regional Council, both of which for $900K, you can be within a kilometre of the water. You can be on a large piece of land, at least 600 square metres, if not more. Southern beaches, you tend to get a better quality home at that kind of budget. So you could go to Victoria Point with $900,000 and get a 4 or 5 bedroom brick house built in the last 20 years on a good parcel of land that's going to rent for at least $800 per week. Amazing value there. Or you could go somewhere like Wellington Point on the southern beaches where you've got a train line, a quality school, a couple of quality schools, proximity to the water, and you're only 17 to 19 Ks to the city. Amazing value there, but at $900K, it's probably going to be more of an entry-level renovator. Northern Beaches is much the same, but the types of homes up there are a bit older. So they typically are your high-set renovators, maybe your old miners' cottages that have been done up at that budget. Cash flow may be a little bit less in those northern beaches just because the age and size of the homes are older and a bit smaller. There's another alternative, which is the Hills district of Brisbane. So this is sort of your 13 to 16 kilometre region from Brisbane City, northwest of the city. Again, $900K is pretty entry level for those markets. Median house prices are pushing closer to $1 million for a couple of those areas. But somewhere like Ferny Grove or Arana Hills, you could take $900,000 to that market and get a high set 3-bedroom home, good sized block of land, really high percentage of owner occupiers in that market. Distance to the city is phenomenal. Train stations into the city, really good connectivity for public transport, really beautiful parks, schools, small shopping centres. So they're 3 really interesting options, all of which are at the same sort of budget, but the property type is really dictated by each area because they were all developed at slightly different times over the last 50 years.
But I'd also like to expand onto that. If you do have, say, a $900,000 budget, it does open up some really high quality dual income options. Yeah. Now, in this environment where we do have higher interest rates and the cost to hold these properties are much higher than they used to be, then a dual income strategy could be right for you. This is where you'd be looking in one of those areas where you can buy a great property for $650,000 to $700,000, like what Crystal talked about earlier, ensuring that you buy a big site with a nice big flat backyard where you could come and add a granny flat in the backyard and rent that out completely separately. Now, those granny flats cost between about $200,000 to $220,000 to build as of 2024. And in either of those locations, they will rent for as little as $400, as much as $450 per week. It enables you to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Essentially, the capital growth by buying the major metro market, buying a house on land as close to the city that you can afford, and then manufacturing the cash flow by building a granny flat. And the good thing about granny flats, you get some good tax benefits through depreciation out of them as well. So they're our favorite options in the market at the moment. So great question. I know there was a lot of information there for you to analyze and interpret. And depending on where you're at right now will depend on which one of those strategies is suitable for you. As I mentioned, if you're not too sure on that, then please go ahead and book in one of those strategy sessions. They are only available for people who are thinking to buy at some point within the next 3 to 6 months. So if that's you, please book in a session. We'd love to have a bit of a chat and decide which strategy is going to be best for you. Either way, thank you so much for listening. We wish you the best.
Woo!
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Getting
Have a
cool,
spin.
bro. Yeah. Oh, sweaty. So sweaty. Oh, that's good.